So today we're going to talk about the scientific revolution and Enlightenment. Both these movements are going to drastically change the way that people think about the world around them and themselves. But it also is a time period with a lot of names and what they did. So you're going to have to memorize some things. And I'll try and help you the best I can. So the scientific revolution was a time period where traditional ideas were challenged and thrown at the wayside. It was a time where people relied more on science than religious superstition, except for witches, because we still have witch hunts during this time. We have a lot of people in this time period that are going to contribute to modern day science, so let's have a look at who they are. Okay, our first is Nicholas Copernicus, and he's going to believe in the heliocentric universe. So before, people thought that the Earth was the center of the universe, that, all the planets were around the Earth. And Copernicus is the one who says, I think the sun's in the middle and all the planets are around the sun. And this is going to challenge what everyone thought and what the church was preaching out. But he was right. To add to his argument, Johann Kepler believed in planetary motion, so that the planets moved around the sun. You're probably laughing at me because you've known this since you were in the 2nd grade, but this was a big deal back in the day. Another person is Galileo Galilei. Galileo. Bohemian Rhapsody, anyone? And Galileo is going to support planetary motion, and he is going to have a lot of research done through his invention of the modern day telescope, but he is going to have a lot of problems with the church, going to say things against the church, and the church is actually going to call him a heretic and place him under house arrest. And he is not going to be pardoned for this until like the 1950s. Francis Bacon and René Descartes come up with the scientific method. I hope you've done this in science class, that you hypothesize and then you do the experiment and then you come back and say, well, was I right or wrong? That you've done in science, these guys came up with that. Isaac Newton, the guy that had the apple fall on his head, gravity. He's the one that is credited with discovering gravity. So our immediate effect of this is a backlash from the church, because again, a lot of these are going against what the church is saying. The church is only relying on religion and not necessarily scientific discovery and reason. So we have a lot of clashes with the church at this time, but these are going to be the foundations of what is modern day science. The Enlightenment is going on around the same time period as the scientific revolution. The Enlightenment is going to focus on reason and individual freedom. Kind of. And again, we have a lot of people and what their theories were. And so let's go ahead and get started. Okay, one main thing that most of our philosophes, which are the French philosophers, or even our English philosophers in the Enlightenment, are going to believe is something called deism. And deism is the belief that God set the earth in motion and then stepped back and isn't involved in everyday lives. Kind of like a clockmaker makes the clock and sets it in motion, but isn't involved in the everyday workings of the clock. So again, deists believe that God is real, but he's not involved in your everyday lives. Our first guy is John Locke. John Locke is going to be very influential in our modern day governments, especially in democracy. He believes that government should answer to the people. So he is anti-absolute monarch, anti-divine right of kings. He believes that people should have a say in their government, that their government should be responsible for the people. He believes that everything can be done with reason and logic. You can find out information through reason and logic. John Locke is often compared to Thomas Hobbes. Thomas Hobbes is an English philosopher during the English Civil War who believed and supported absolute monarchs. He believed that people were inherently evil, that they needed a strong governmental leader, a strong monarch to guide them, otherwise it would be chaos. So they're opposites. Our next guy is Adam Smith, and he's an economist. I'm hoping if you take economics, you've heard of him. He's going to believe in the free market theory, or laissez-faire economics, that the market will ebb and flow as it will, guided by the invisible hand. And so he urges government to stay out of the economy. So lazy economics, laissez-faire economics. And this is kind of going to be the standard bearer until we start getting to the Great Depression. Dennis Detroit is going to invent the encyclopedia. That's the thing people used to look up information before Wikipedia. They were a set of books, and they were in alphabetical order that you could look up information. go ask your parents about the encyclopedia and what they had to do for their research papers before the internet. Mary Wollstonecraft is going to advocate for women's rights during the Enlightenment. Not going to get a lot of leeway. Not going to be very successful, but we're getting there, ladies. I promise. We're getting there. So the Enlightenment, like the scientific revolution, is going to have some backlash from the church. But we're going to see the Enlightenment is going to be very influential in our revolutions. A lot of our revolutions are going to take ideas from the Enlightenment. However, the immediate, the absolute monarchs are going to stay strong. Alright, that's all I have for you for Scientific Revolution and Enlightenment. I'll see you next time.